Kat has questions, curiosity, stories, and the strange corners of everyday life. Hello, I'm Kat, and today we're opening a box, literally. I'm getting the goosies about telling this one. A box that supposedly ruined people's lives, caused physical illness, destroyed electronics, and allegedly unleashed a spirit from Jewish folklore. So let's talk about what might be the internet's most famous haunted object, the Dybbuk Box. Before we get into the chaos this box allegedly caused, we need to understand what a Dibbuk even is. I did have to Google the pronunciation, and traditional Hebrew pronunciation is slightly different, but this is how Google told me to say it as an American English speaker. Now I'm saying it wrong all the time, I think. I don't even know if it's right. But what this means is a restless spirit, the soul of a dead person, one that clings to the living, often because of unfinished business. So unlike Western demons, a Dibbuk is usually the spirit of a human, not a monster. And though they don't possess things, they typically possess people. So right away you should know Jewish folklore doesn't really include haunted boxes, which already makes this story interesting. But now let's get into the actual box. Hi, Winnie. Okay, thank you. Sorry, my dog is sniffing my mouth. Okay, thank you. So where it all started. In 2003, a man named Kevin Mannis posted a small wooden wine cabinet for sale on eBay. Pretty normal, except the title was Dybbuk Box, Haunted Jewish Wine Cabinet. Very active, all in caps. Early 2000s internet, they clicked immediately. Mannis wrote that he purchased it from the estate of an 103-year-old Holocaust survivor named Havela. She referred to it as a Dybbuk box. She begged him not to open it. Her family refused to take it after she died, and they said it brought bad luck and darkness. So naturally, Mannis admitted he opened the box immediately after getting home. Of course he did. Inside, he claimed to find 2 locks of hair, 1 blonde, 1 brown, a dried rose, a small golden goblet, a granite stone with Hebrew letters carved into it, and a strange tentacle candle holder. Individually, none of these are creepy, but together, they're giving please put the lid back on vibes. According to Mannis, the moment he opened it, strange things started happening. Overwhelming smells of jasmine, and then cat urine. 2 very different smells. Light bulbs bursting, doors slamming, recurring nightmares of a shadow woman. His mother having a stroke the day she tried to open the cabinet. And every new person who came into contact with the box had similar reactions. Dread, hair loss, insomnia, sudden illness, and terrifying nightmares. The story blew up across early internet ghost forums, and people were obsessed. Eventually, the box was purchased by a Missouri medical student named Jason Haxton. But before we get to him, we need to talk about the owners between Mannis and Haxton because their experiences might be the most disturbing part of the whole story. This part gets skipped, but it is crucial. Several people owned the box before Haxton, and each one had experiences that made them return it immediately. Let's walk through them each one by one. So owner number 1 was Kevin Mannis. Even though Mannis later admitted to embellishing the origin story, the experiences he claimed to have are what launched the legend. He said that nights after opening the box, he started having intense nightmares of a dark, hollow-eyed woman standing at the end of his bed. He described her as tall, with sunken eyes and long black hair. She never spoke, she only stared. The weirdest part? He said that every person who stayed at his home, guests, friends, even customers, reported the same exact woman. Same description, same dream. That is the first moment this story shifts from a little haunted knickknack to, okay, that's a little unnerving. The second owner was a woman who bought it next. After Mannis decided he wanted it gone, he gave it to a woman who bought it with some of his refinished furniture. According to the original listing, she returned it after 3 days. Her house started smelling like cat urine. Her hair began falling out in clumps. She said she couldn't sleep with it in the same building, and she didn't want a refund. She just wanted the box gone. This became a theme. People don't resell this box, they escape it. Hi, Rudy. Sorry, my other dog's now. Okay, bye. Owners number 3 and 4 were college roommates. These two didn't know anything about the folklore. They didn't know the backstory. They bought it because they thought it was a quirky antique. But within days, their apartment smelled like ammonia. Their lights and electronics kept dying. One roommate saw moving shadows in the hallway. The other developed insomnia and chest pressure. Their landlord replaced the breaker box twice. They started fighting constantly. Just sounds like bad vibes in this apartment. Finally, they left the cabinet on their porch and emailed Mannis, "Please come get this thing." Not a request, a demand. So owner number 5 was the skeptic. This next owner bought the box because he thought this whole thing was a joke. But within 48 hours, his electronics crashed also. His computer blue screened. His phone would not stay charged. And he felt like he was being watched. He had one nightmare so vivid he refused to sleep in the same room as the box again. He also didn't ask for any money back. He just begged Mannis to remove it. Enter Jason Haxton, the museum director. So by the time the Dybbuk box reached Jason Haxton, it had already left a trail of nightmares, illness, electrical problems, and terrified owners. Haxton was not a paranormal guy. As I said, he was the director of the Museum of Osteopathic Medicine, a science-based profession. He bought the box hoping to study it as a cultural artifact, but almost immediately he said things shifted. Haxton later claimed he broke out in painful welts. He began coughing up blood. He felt a watery electric sensation, which I'm not quite sure what that means. His coworkers developed migraines. Mold started randomly forming in his walls. His lights constantly flickered, and electronics also failed in his house. He became so convinced the box was dangerous that he contacted multiple rabbis for guidance. They suggested sealing it in a custom container, a wooden, kosher-style housing meant for spiritually contaminated objects. Haxton built one. He literally created a box for the box. By 2012, he was just done with it. He passed the Dybbuk box to Zach Bagans, the host of Ghost Adventures. It now sits behind thick glass in his haunted museum in Las Vegas. And this is when the story exploded into pop culture. Celebrities visited. Security footage captured shadows. People fainted near it. A priest who blessed it became violently ill. And then there was Post Malone. Yes, Post Malone. After visiting the museum, his private jet made an emergency landing. His Rolls Royce crashed. His old house was robbed. And Twitter basically decided the box cursed him. Coincidence? Maybe. But this thing has a track record of chaos. So here's where things get really messy. In 2021, Kevin Mannis admitted something huge. He said the backstory he told, the Holocaust survivor, the warnings, the cursed heirloom, was partially fiction. He literally said, quote, "I created the story." But here's the thing. That doesn't debunk everything. Because multiple unrelated owners did experience nightmares. People did get physically ill being near the box. Electronics did malfunction around the box, and as you can tell from multiple of the previous owners, they all had that happen. Visitors at Zach Bagans' museum faint or panic, and nobody who touches it seems to want to keep it for very long. Folklore experts explain that belief alone can create a physical response. Psychosomatic symptoms, shared dream patterns, environmental hypersensitivity. There's even a concept called a tulip, or a thought form created by collective belief. I'm not saying that's what this is, but when enough people fear an object, something happens. Also, the objects inside the box, maybe they have their own histories because obviously they existed long before Mannis ever touched them. Trauma, memorial objects, ritual items. You never really know what energy an item carries. The line between haunted and believed to be haunted is much thinner than we think. This is Cat Has Questions, so let's ask a few. Why did multiple unrelated people see the same shadowy woman? And why did so many of the owners experience sudden physical symptoms? Did fear create the haunting, or did the haunting create the fear? Why did Mannis feel the need to fabricate a Holocaust backstory if the box was clearly disturbing enough on its own? If the Dibbuk was invented, then why were all the electronics starting to malfunction when they would come near it? Is something older attached to the objects inside? Is this an example of mass suggestion? So maybe just kind of everyone feeling the same thing because that's how everybody else is feeling? Or is it one of those items that just carries bad energy? I don't know, but I do know this. Even skeptics admit that the Dybbuk box has affected almost everyone who has owned it. Real or imagined, something about it feels heavy. And sometimes that's all a haunting needs. Thanks for listening today. New episodes drop every Wednesday, exploring the weird, the unexplainable, and the stories that just stick with us. Sources are in the show notes if you want to go down your own rabbit hole. Until next time, maybe don't buy haunted antiques on eBay. Thanks for listening to Cat Has Questions. If you liked this episode, follow the show and share it with someone who loves a good spiral. See you next week.